Hello and welcome to another episode of Breaking Mayberry, a podcast that doesn't have a problem and can quit anytime it wants.
Anytime it wants.
I'm one of your hosts, I'm Marty Schneider.
The other host, Dan Ludwig.
And we've been away for a little bit unintentionally. We didn't really mean for this to happen, but the bottom line is Dan's getting married.
Yeah.
And it's taking up a lot of our time.
Yeah.
A surprising amount. I'm going to throw this out here, Dan. Anyone who has a destination wedding is a bad person.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, a destination wedding's general goal is to get as many of your friends and family to not show up as possible. Ideally, you want just to lose a lot of the chaff from the wheat. Really, it's kind of to really get only the most dedicated friends and family, which is an unforeseen issue is when everybody decides to fucking show up. Everybody. Turns out everybody wants to go to goddamn Puerto Rico. I should have made it Spain. It was gonna be Spain. Yeah,
no, the problem is you picked something that was just inconvenient enough to be annoying, but not inconvenient enough to be a real deterrent.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even need to get a passport for this one.
I know, I should have made it like 15% more inconvenient. So,
but anyway, yeah, this is taking up a lot of our time, including bachelor party planning and things like this. And I don't know, having also gotten married earlier this year, it rules watching you suffer.
Yeah,
I have to say, like 4 months ago, I have a screenshot of this. 4 months ago, you sent me a message like right before my wedding, and I was like, "This is coming for you," and you were making fun of me. You were like, "You're still doing wedding stuff?" And I said, "This is happening, motherfucker. You're gonna get this." And you said, "Nah, dude, I'm done. I don't have anything to worry about." And I took a screenshot of that because I was like, "This is gonna come back to haunt your ass, you son of a bitch."
Okay, but here's the thing. You went through so much more planning and hardship than I did. I would say altogether, I have done maybe a 10th at most of the work you have. The problem is that I'm me, and any amount of decision-making or really just causes me to have a nervous breakdown on the spot.
This is not what I wanted the intro to be. Here's what I wanted the intro to be, Dan. Sometimes we get criticisms of this show. And one of the criticisms that we get is that we are vastly overestimating the impact that a television show can actually have, that media in general has on real life actions and like people's real life attitudes. And I feel like there's plenty of studies and things that can really back us up on this. A fact that I always like to point to is the fact that in the couple of summers after Jaws came out, the shark population off the coast of New England went down by 50% because suddenly everyone was hunting sharks. So, but that is a comment that we get a lot. Not a lot, but like it's a common refrain. So here's something I want to send you, Dan, and I'm gonna edit it into the episode, so like the listeners will hear what you hear. I'm dropping this into chat. The next thing you're about to hear, and I've got this set up for a specific time. This is a YouTube video from Dorktown, from Secret Bases Dorktown, from their excellent series, The History of the Minnesota Vikings, which I recommend everybody go and watch on YouTube. Even if you don't like the Minnesota Vikings, even if you don't like football, somehow this stuff is so well written and so fascinating. Even though you're mostly just watching lines go up and down a screen, it's worth watching. It's good storytelling.
Is this John Boyce?
Huh? This is John Boyce. Yeah, this is John Boyce. But what you're about to hear is not John Boyce. It's his partner, Alex Rubenstein. And this is talking about Minnesota defensive end John Randall, who was a defensive end for the 90s. And this is a story about how he became a Minnesota Viking. It's only a couple seconds long. I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send this to you now, and I want you to tell me if anything sounds familiar.
Remember how back in the 70s, the Vikings had an undersized defensive tackle who laid waste to the NFL's interior offensive linemen? Well, now in the 90s, history is repeating itself. John Randall grew up in poverty in a Texas farming town with about as many people as there are football players on the sidelines of a game. In high school, after football practice, he needs to hitch a ride home, sometimes not arriving till 10 at night. This daily ordeal nearly makes him give the sport up, but he knows football can provide a path to a better life and works non-stop to make it happen. That path takes him from community college to Division II Texas A&I, and despite dominant play in 2 years there, he goes undrafted in 1990 with his weight of a little over 240 pounds proving a roadblock to his NFL dreams. He's brought in for a workout by Tampa, where his brother plays, but it doesn't work out when he balks at the idea of switching to linebacker. It doesn't work out in Atlanta for the same reason. Then when Minnesota takes a look at him, it doesn't work out because they require his weight to be 250 to be given a chance on what is already the league's smallest defensive front. Hope of making it in pro football is beginning to fade, and he's fully prepared to begin a career as a garbage man. Then one day, after about a month of trying in vain to add any weight whatsoever, a 244-pound Randall steps on a scale with a 7-pound padlock chain tied around his waist, and John Randall instead becomes a Minnesota Viking.
Okay.
Does that sound familiar to you, Dan? Does that sound familiar to you at all?
Do you think he got that from the show?
I refuse to believe that this is a coincidence. I refuse to believe that, like, it's too much of a coincidence that John Randall, probably at a time, who is from the South, who definitely saw Andy Griffith reruns all the time, especially in the 80s and 90s, I refuse to believe that it is a coincidence that John Randall got onto the Minnesota Vikings using the exact same fucking trick that Barney Fife used to make weight.
I mean, what year was this? This was the 80s,
This is
right?
This is 1989 to 1990.
All right, well then, yeah, that is completely feasible that this would be thoroughly in the zeitgeist by now. And his dad was like, "Hey man, you know what I saw on a TV show once? You got put on a big ass chain."
I completely believe I'm losing my mind over this. I was just watching this documentary and I saw that and just started screaming. 100%. John Randall joined the NFL because he saw an episode of the Andy Griffith Show.
It's like being able to see the source code of America. Like we're in the Matrix, just seeing the ones and zeros drip down the screen, and for some reason we're able to register that as Kung Fu.
You cannot tell me that isn't the case. I don't care if John Randall himself comes into my house and tells me this. I'm pretty sure he's dead, but I don't care if John Randall shows up and tells me this like right now. It's impossible. That's fucking true.
He's rising from the grave right now and be like, some motherfucker is attributing one of my better career decisions to the Andy Griffith Show, and I have to travel to Philadelphia for my grave in Atlanta to kick his ass. Like, he's just moving slowly in your direction now.
Okay, he's alive. He's alive.
He's alive. He's on his way.
He's alive, and he's actually fairly young. He's 55 years old. Okay.
So now he's gonna find out about this. He's gonna be like, not only did this guy attribute my success to the Andy Griffith Show, but he thought I was dead. So I'm gonna fucking kick the shit out of him.
Or
listeners, tweet John Randall and tell him this happened.
John Randall, there's an upcoming episode about a football coach that we could use a guest for. If anybody knows John Randall, I'd like to make amends for him for thinking that he's dead.
Wouldn't be the first guest we've had on that has severe CTE.
All right, so on that note, that's a really grim and dark note for this very grim and dark episode. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's talk about this Andy Griffith Show episode.
We're going to have a weird vibe. I mean, we opened with you yelling at me about my wedding. We spent a half hour on technical difficulties. And
this is a weird vibe episode.
About
but listen,
CTE.
Listen, I need us to talk about... It's because we're avoiding talking about this episode. This is some of the bleakest, darkest shit I have ever seen on TV. So much that even the, Mayberry Wiki people are like, Jesus Christ, dude!
It's deranged. It is I don't even know. You could show this in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and people would throw up. It is.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you this right now. I'm going to read the one-sentence summary to you, but the one-sentence summary from Wikipedia has changed since the last time I checked it. Here is the one-sentence summary from Wikipedia. We're talking about Season 5, Episode 18, The Rehabilitation of Otis, written by Lawrence J. Cohen and Fred Freeman. Originally airs January 18th, 1965, directed by Peter Baldwin. And here is the one-sentence summary from Wikipedia. Barney tries to cure Otis of his drinking habit. Mm-hmm. Period. That's it. That's the entire thing.
Okay.
When I checked this a couple weeks ago, the one-sentence summary was, Otis buys a cow thinking it's a horse. Period.
Have you ever seen a Wikipedia change and then you go onto the community page behind it and it'll be like just somebody changed the slight language on like a summary of an episode of Becker and then you click onto the background and it's like, Steve, if you change my fucking copy again, I will send a SWAT team to your house, I swear to God. Like, just dissertations of guys yelling at each other. But yeah, that's definitely happened, is that there's two guys in the background of Wikipedia who are constantly flipping those back and forth. Be like, don't talk about the alcoholism, let's keep it light. There's a cow and somebody thinks it's a horse. That's the point of the episode. And somebody's like, we need to hit this head on.
We need to address this. We need to call it out. We need to gather everybody who has ever edited his wiki in a room, and they've all written you a letter, Stan, talking about how your Wikipedia editing addiction has affected them.
Just everybody lining up, and then there's one guy in the room being like, it's about a cow! Come on! It's nothing serious. It's just about a guy who thinks a cow is a horse.
Can you imagine?
You're reading too much into it.
Can you imagine having an intervention for somebody who's addicted to editing Wikipedia? And every time you're like, Stan, because you're editing the Wikipedia article on One Piece, you missed our anniversary. And he's just like, citation needed!
Dear Stan, I love you like a brother, but you spent 48 hours straight editing Wikipedia pages on ancient Rome. Stan, you don't know anything about ancient Rome. You're just looking at other Wikipedia articles and using those to make edits. I love you, man. You need to stop doing this. Your kids don't remember your face.
Stan just takes a piece of paper and looks right at the bottom. It's like, there's no references here. This intervention is a stub. You can help by making more friends.
While we're on the topic of Wikipedia, have you ever gone to one for something like really obscure where there's not a lot of like scrutiny because probably 8 people have visited it in the last like 10 years and somebody got to just really let it hang out, just like editorialize wildly, kind of treat it like fanfiction.net.
For years, the script Wikipedia description of the newspaper comic strip Dustin observed that it was a hateful comic strip about an old boomer piece of shit who hates his entire family. And a put upon hero millennial who just cannot catch any breaks. It was like there were just a long description. Somebody wiki vandalized the description for Dustin, which is, by the way, one of the worst fucking comic strips that has ever existed. And when I say that, you know I've seen bad strips. I hate Dustin, dude. Marty's Comics Corner. Okay, so here's the thing about Dustin.
Talk to me about Dustin, bro. Just to be, before we jump into this, are you the person that made those Wikipedia edits?
I am not. Not,
cool.
But I know who did.
Okay, continue.
Yeah. And it was like that for years. So Dustin is a relatively new comic strip. It's only about, I think 6 to 8 years old. And basically the entire premise of Dustin is fuck those kids. Mm-hmm. Dustin, the titular character, is canonically he's 21 or 22. He graduated with an English degree and then moved back in with his parents. And so every single strip is just designed to say, look at Dustin, he's such a dumb piece of shit who lives with his parents. God, why can't he have a job with his English degree? We frequently see Dustin trying out for and interviewing for multiple other jobs. Sometimes he's a substitute teacher, and yet every single comic strip is designed for just like people just wander off and just hate on this dude for no fucking reason. I actually like spoke to an editor about this one time because I had no idea why everyone in this universe hates this normal guy so much. And they were just like, sometimes people are mean.
There is a darkness within the human soul, and Dustin is a vent for it.
It should be noted that the author of Dustin, Steve Kelly, is also, you would be surprised to learn, a right-wing editorial cartoonist and a huge fucking piece of shit. The artist, Jeff Parker, is strangely talented. And that's the other problem, is that like there's good art in Dustin when someone puts effort into this. But anyway, Dustin is one of the most frustrating goddamn comic strips I've ever seen. And if we want to do an entire episode about Dustin, I can do this. All right, so end of Marty's comics.
Seems nice.
Dustin seems fine. Dustin seems fine.
Looks like a nice guy.
Yeah, but this comic loves to do like the oldest fucking boomer jokes. They love women be shopping. They love weird stoner jokes. They love to have Dustin just walk up and approach a woman in a bar and then get called a loser. It's definitely like what young people are based on a person who's never ever spoken to a young person. And the author's insert on that is definitely Dustin's dad, Ed Kudlick, who is a rich boomer lawyer who has everything sorted out, and he's the man. Although they do make like fat jokes for him by having him go to the doctor a bunch of times. It's just such dated 80s and 90s ass punchlines in modern art, and I hate it. I hate Dustin. Dustin can fucking rot, and I'm so mad at whatever Wikipedia editor undid those edits and that vandalism. All right, so back to the rehabilitation of Otis. Okay, so
okay, all right, okay.
This episode opens up with Barney being deeply annoying. Barney has a magazine of trivia and facts that he got. He's subscribed to a new magazine that sends him new information every month.
And he's just reading off inane facts about, for example, horses' eyes stay the same for their entire lives. Some bullshit about stars. Which I thought that the joke that they were going to do was that he had subscribed to a book for children, or a magazine for kids. I really thought that's the direction they were going.
He's reading like highlights for kids kind of things, yeah.
Basically. Like, and it's supposed to be like, he's subscribing to the almanac. Like that thing that you used to do where they would send you like books that were supposed to contain the sum of human knowledge. But it's like a shitty magazine version, and he just happened to get the one that's fun facts. Like, right. Like some cool conversation topics that'll make you the smartest kid in school. But yeah, he's being fucking annoying, and he's bothering Andy with several extremely boring topics of conversation.
He's doing the thing where he's like, boy, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. This is amazing. Boy, that is something. And Andy finally is just like, what can't you believe, Barn? Fine. Jesus.
Yeah. Great.
It really does help. Alone. It really does help our Andy's so done with this theory.
Yeah.
Like, he's so irritated. And he finally does just tell Barney, like, hey, man, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
He says, why don't you read that book to yourself?
See, like, season 1 Andy would have fucked with him. And season, 2 and 3 Andy would have just been like, oh, that's cool. Horse eyes, horses got pretty eyes. And then would have just said some bullshit. And this season of Andy is just like, I don't fucking care.
Season 1 Andy would have made an entire bit out of just writing facts onto post-it notes and sliding them into the magazine and just getting Barney to believe his lies.
Yeah.
And he would do that just for the fun of it. And that would be the entire episode.
And it would have been horribly cruel, but it would have been something. But he's kind of just he just basically vomits wasps every time Barney does a Barney thing now, which, to be fair, is what we've been yelling at him to do for 4 fucking seasons, and now he's doing it, and it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that fun to just watch a guy be mad at his friend.
Yeah.
It's not that fun to listen to a podcast that's 2 guys yelling about a wedding. Like, they're just standing there, and he's sitting in there annoyed, and they're like, well, nothing's much happening. And then they hear a bunch of ruckus and commotion and a literal cowbell coming from outside. And they go outside, and there is Otis in a drunken stupor riding a cow through the middle of town. And everyone's gathered around him, and he says, look at this beautiful horse that I bought from old Farmer Dairy. I paid $20 for this beautiful horse. And there's one funny bit where Andy says, Otis, can't you see you got a horse that makes milk? And Otis says, I knew this was a good deal.
So, okay. The image of Otis on a horse.
On a cow.
On a cow. You might be wondering, is it funny? And the answer is yes. Yes, it is fucking hilarious. But there is also, because also everybody is gathered around Otis, pointing and laughing, and basically mocking this drunk man on a cow. And it is somewhat undercut by the fact that Andy and Barney are not like, Otis is on a cow. They're just like, oh shit, oh fuck, what did he do? We gotta get him off the cow. Get him off the cow. Like you would, like if your friend threw up at a party where everybody is like, all right, get some fucking towels and let's get them outside, and like it's not like
they respond with genuine concern and like and irritation, right?
Yeah,
they're not in on the joke. And
yeah.
Also, I'll just say, if anything, a drunk man riding a cow is way more impressive than riding a horse. Like,
yeah, cows
typically
really don't want that.
They typically don't like to be ridden.
They're not fans. It's not part of the deal we have with them.
Yeah, no. And a cow.
It's not in the terms and conditions of a cow. You're voiding the warranty on that cow if you try to ride it.
And honestly, a cow can also kick the shit out of you. I mean, like, so could a horse, but like...
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's riding the cow. They get him off the cow. They let him sleep off the thing. And Barney says, for the first time ever, like, Otis has a problem.
Yeah.
This is bad. Side note, I don't think I've ever, and I've been very, very, very drunk in my life. I don't think I've ever been drunk enough to mistake a cow for a horse. One time I was very high and I was walking around the streets of Portland, Oregon, and I was waiting at a crosswalk for a light to change, and I looked across the street, and for a couple of seconds, I thought that centaurs were real. But what I was actually seeing was a man standing next to a Great Dane.
Right.
So he was standing next to the Great Dane, so like the dude is standing there, and then like a big ass dog butt is coming out of that. Yeah. So
and how? Wait, repeat how many seconds you thought that centaurs were real?
5.
And for those 5 seconds, did you make any like plans about how you needed to change your life, or like the things were you doing? Were you like, fuck, I have to tell somebody that centaurs are real. I have to take my camera out.
I mean, listen.
Or was it like, apparently centaurs have always been real, and nobody had told me?
Listen, you don't know how you're going to react to that information. I just felt very at peace. Like, even more, I was just like, centaurs are real. And if I'll be honest with you, man, I don't think I've ever known true happiness since I found out they weren't. Since the moment I realized I was looking at a dog, I don't think I've really known true joy.
I think, yeah, because if you find out centaurs are real, it's not like it's an issue. Like, it's not like, oh, crap, we gotta be on the lookout, there's centaurs. It'd be like, oh, cool, the world's slightly better.
No, yeah, there's just there's just a centaur here, and he's wandering around the Pearl District, probably gonna get a beer, you know? Like,
all of our hypothetical musings about what we would do if there were centaurs are now, we gotta, like, get to work on them.
You have to sit there and just be like, I can't ask to. That's rude. I can't ask to ride, right? Like that's rude.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but you only had 5 seconds. You didn't have time to really digest, like, were you going to ask the centaur if you could ride him?
No. I didn't have a whole lot of time. But also, like, time was... I had some time dilation things going on.
Were you on mushrooms? You said you were just high.
I was very high. I might have been on mushrooms.
Okay. The drunkest I think the only time I remember this happening is I once was waiting for the bus and I thought a trash can was a very rude guy. And I think that's the extent of it. I just thought it was a guy that was not answering my questions.
Okay, so as I say this out loud, as we say these words, okay, I completely believe that maybe you could mistake a cow for a horse. Never mind. I'm now back on Otis's team.
No. Don't be on Otis's team for any of this. That's what Andy does. It's called enabling.
Right. Because Barney comes and says, Otis needs help. Like, Otis needs a psychiatrist. Otis needs professional help. And Andy says, yeah, well, we don't have any, so that sucks.
Yeah, tough shit. Basically, yeah, because Barney is like, this is really bad. I don't think I've ever seen him this drunk. And Andy's like, well, when he sleeps it off, he won't be this drunk anymore, and then it's fine. And Barney is like, I think we should intervene in some way. Like, he needs professional help. And Andy is like, there is none. Let's go back to the thing we were doing.
Actually, I love that because the thing that they were doing was not a thing he was enjoying either.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to go back to the other thing that he hated. The other part of his life that he hates. Talking with Barney. Barney is convinced that because he read a magazine on psychology, that he's qualified to provide the psychiatric help, the psychological help that Otis must need in order to get through his addiction. Andy, of course, says, no, you're not in any way qualified to do that. And Barney says, no, it's okay. I read a magazine, and these are just really simple things that any layman can do. These simple psychological assessments. I think we'll be okay. And so
so everything Barney does after this point is better than Andy. It's not numb enablement. He is identifying that his friend has an issue and trying to resolve the issue. But, to be fair, it is entirely based out of a desperate need to feed his ego, because he is just trying to establish that he could be a psychiatrist if he wanted to.
Right.
Yeah.
And he does wake up, he stands outside, or sits outside, and waiting for Otis to wake up. When Otis does wake up, he subjects him to an ink blot test, a single ink blot test, which, had these just been invented at the time? Now, this does show. I just realized you're wearing. You're wearing your ink blot, your Rorschach T-shirt,
which was completely coincidental. And I had a conversation with my coworkers where they tried to figure out what my shirt was.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are. So Dan is currently wearing a Rorschach test T-shirt. It's kind of dope. I think it looks like an owl. So they do show the ink blot. On the screen that Barney reveals. Dan, what did you think it looked like?
The one on the show or the one that's on my chest?
The one on the show.
Deer skull.
Deer skull. Okay, I thought it looked like a Valentine, like a dark heart, like a black emo heart.
Yeah.
There is a bit where Otis says it looks like a bat. I can see that. It does kind of look like a bat. Barney says, you're wrong, this is clearly a butterfly. And they have an argument about butterflies versus bats. Otis says, Barney says, you like to see ugly things. You only like to see the ugly things. I want to see butterflies and you want to see bats. And Otis goes, I don't know. Sometimes I want to see a bat. Bats are cool.
Yeah. Bats are dope. Much better than seeing a butterfly.
Is this scene good?
Okay, so the joke of delivering a Rorschach test and then immediately telling your patient that he's wrong is fucking funny.
It's very funny.
Like, the fact that it is No, completely knee-jerk, not a second pause by Don Knotts after saying, well, that's wrong, and you're fucking crazy for having said that. I'm worried about you. And just starts immediately screaming at him.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
That is fun. It is fun. I think it's fun when Andy intervenes in their fight, and Barney says, "You don't know it, Otis, but you've been naked in front of me." And Otis just says, "No, I haven't. No, I haven't, Andy."
Otis is the best fucking character.
Hal Smith is the funniest guy on this show by a country mile.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always excited when Hal Smith comes in, but he's also just deeply, deeply sad. Just the tragedy here.
But Barney says you were riding a cow, and Otis was like, "Oh, didn't know that you were drunk too."
I think that's funny.
Yeah, it's all good. Andy comes in. Basically, Barney and Otis are on the verge of fist fighting each other when Andy intervenes and just basically says, "We're done with this. This isn't happening anymore." Otis has to leave, and Barney gives Otis his phone number and says to call him the next time he wants to get drunk.
Okay, let's call this out here. This is the only thing that anyone in years has ever done to help Otis.
Yeah.
Right? No one has ever. Barney is being a genuine friend here.
Yes.
For whatever missteps of anything else, Barney is being the only person in Otis's life. Otis is married, remember. Yeah. The only person in Otis's life who is just like, "Hey man, I'm worried. Call me. I want to help you."
We're going to discuss whether or not Otis is still married.
I don't know if Otis is still married, because this episode makes it clear that he don't got nothing to come home to.
I think there might be evidence that Otis might be homeless.
That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, so to double back on something, Otis has gotten clean before and been sober for like at least an episode. They have called out that Otis was not drinking anymore.
And then I think they were like, well, this isn't funny.
Yeah. So they have like done relapses with Otis. But also, yeah, you've gotten to this point, and nobody's thought to go like, "Hey man, instead of having a drink, do you want to talk to me?" Like in this like supposedly mega friendly setting, nobody has just been like, "Hey, do you want to like talk at all about why you drink so much?"
Yeah, the show pretends that like Andy is doing the right thing by giving Otis a small, like, comfortable place to dry out. And they also say that is the end of Andy's responsibilities to his community. Right? The sort of the overall lesson by the end of this is Otis will never not be an addict. Otis will never get better. The best you can do is give him a comfortable death. Which,
to be fair, at this time period, if you aired an episode of a television show that was, hey, if a loved one in your life is drinking too much and you're worried about them, intervene and get them to stop, the dads of America would have just rioted across the country to Hollywood and burned it to the ground. At this point, they were like, "Listen, the best we can do is to stop hitting our wives as much when we're blackout drunk. Like that's what we're gonna negotiate."
A fandom user writes in August of 2014, "This episode is a good example of something that is bound to trouble a modern viewer. Namely, nobody in Mayberry, not even Andy, seems interested in getting Otis help with his drinking problem. Barney's attempts here may be annoying and off-putting, but I have more respect for his at least trying than I do for Andy's do-nothing attitude where Otis is concerned. Where Otis Campbell is concerned, Andy is definitely an enabler." Parentheses, "Of course, we are talking about a different time with different attitudes when comic drunks like Foster Brooks and Dean Martin were popular, but today I can't help but thinking that Otis is courting a bad case of liver cirrhosis." So even the Mayberry Wiki people are like, Jesus, dude!
I mean, when you are an alcoholic and suddenly it starts hitting way harder, way faster, and you start doing crazy shit, that is an early sign of liver failure.
Yeah. Later that night, or later the next night or something, Barney gets a phone call at home from Otis. And it wakes him up in the middle of the night. And Barney says, okay, stay there. I'm going to be right there. Barney's being his sponsor. He's his AA sponsor, to be clear at this point. Otis didn't ask him to be the sponsor, but that's the role that Barney is playing. Barney calls Andy, who is for some reason wandering around his house in the dark in his uniform. I can't get over this. I know I've said this a bunch of times, but Andy wanders around his own house in his uniform so often. It's weird.
Yeah.
Get changed. At this point, it's in the dark. So, like, he's about to go to bed. Like, it's very strange. Barney calls Andy and says, hey, help me out here. Let's go. Let's go check out what Otis called me about. Let's go talk to him. This could be an important thing. Again, and Andy doesn't want to go. Barney talks him into it. They go together. Otis is riding the cow again.
Yes.
I don't know how he keeps getting the cow, but Otis is riding the cow again.
Otis is at a party at supposedly respectable members of the community. They are having a house party. Otis comes from behind the house on a cow. So basically, Otis went to a house party showing that the common people of Mayberry are also getting drunk with Otis. And they're basically using Otis as, like, the drunk plaything.
A cover.
Like,
He's their scapegoat. Like, we're doing illegal drinking, but that dude's illegal drinking more.
That guy's on. Do you think they saw the squad car pull up and they were like, send out Otis on the cow. Send out Otis on the cow. He'll take the heat off. We'll just say it was Otis.
Otis runs out on the cow while everybody else slips out the back door. Yeah.
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 The classic move when you were at a house party in high school.
Sending out a guy on a cow.
You send out the least popular, drunkest friend and just let them take the heat.
In this case, like, Barney cuffs him. Barney says, fuck this, dude. You're under arrest.
Yeah. Because they're like, Barney is like, you need to come with me, and Otis is like, I won't, and I don't want to get off the cow. And Barney arrests him, to which Otis is like, how dare you arrest me? We have a good thing going. Like, the gall. And, I don't want to be on this show advocating for people getting arrested necessarily, because I feel like it kind of goes against our whole deal. But also, he's on a fucking cow on somebody's lawn and refusing to get off the cow.
Yeah, I mean, are there better interventions for this? Yes. But those require, like, professionals who are trained in other things. Barney has one, as a cop, Barney has one move. Cops only, we talk about this a lot, like, in abolitionist movements, cops really only have two plays that they can use. Arrest or shoot. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And Barney uses one of the two tools at his disposal. So, I can't, is it wrong? Maybe societally, but, like, in that instance, that is his only move. That is the only option he has.
And I'm sorry, I'm going to advocate for arresting the drunk in this case. Yeah, arrest the drunk guy on a fucking cow. He's on somebody's lawn. Like, what's the alternative move? Was Andy just going to let him, like, wander the cow around in circles? Maybe just, like, follow him on the squad car until he gets sleepy and falls off? Like, yeah, fuck it. This is getting intense. It is like an actual escalation of how drunk this guy is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, like, we kind
this
of
briefly becomes an episode of Cops.
We blew past it, but the reason that Otis bought a cow is because he got so blackout drunk that a farmer lied to him and told him the cow was a horse and sold it. I'm assuming for way too much money.
$20, which I'm not going to look it up, but I'm assuming that's a fuckload of money.
Yeah, definitely too much for a cow. I'm assuming even high for a horse. So, like, not only does, like, nobody give a shit, but people are, like, actively ripping the dude off now.
Yeah.
Like people are actively fucking with him.
He's now a danger to himself. So
yeah.
So they take him back to the jail. The next day when they let him out, he's pissed. As you said, he said, "How dare you arrest me? You can't arrest me. We're friends. Or we used to be friends. I'm never coming back to this jail ever again." And he leaves.
Yeah.
And then I can only assume, hops in a train car?
Yeah,
like,
okay.
I think you're right. There is some evidence here that Otis might be homeless. Because
so they go to just kind of fast forward through the most boring part of this episode. They go to Floyd's barbershop and they ask Floyd, hey, where is Otis? And Floyd does the thing where he doesn't understand the conversation for 6 minutes. And they eventually extract that Otis has left town. He got shaved twice, so he's going to be away for a little while. Otis says officially, I am skipping town. I am moving to Mount Pilot with no earthly possessions. He's not like, I'll come back to my house to sleep, or my job to work at, or, like, you know, my wife to be in a loveless relationship with. He's just like, yep, I'm gonna take all my earthly possessions, this suit, and go do my job, drinking at another place to go get arrested.
To be clear here, right, supposedly Otis has a wife, let's assume maybe an ex-wife at this point, and the town police, when looking for this missing person, do not ask the wife, because that would involve hiring another woman for the show. She
is long gone. I don't think there is a world in which you could pretend like Otis has anything but a crater of a life to go back to.
Oh, she doesn't live in that town anymore. She is gone. Also, I just realized there are no women in this episode.
No,
As
none.
I said that, there are 0.
They talk about later how Otis comes to the drunk tank and he gets a meal in the morning. He gets taken care of. Do you think the jail is basically a homeless shelter for him, where this is the only way he's getting food?
100%. I didn't think that until we started talking, but yes, I believe that 100%. I do not think Otis has a roof. I think he's basically drank away his entire life. I think his wife is gone. I don't think there is a roof over his head. He probably fell behind on his rent. He does not have a job. So, if anything, Barney, you probably should have stepped in before the cow. I feel like the cow was not the worst thing here, actually, now that I come up with this. I feel like, given all of that, riding a cow because you think it's a horse, pretty low on the list of offenses.
Probably should have stepped in when Martha left. Like, probably should have been like, hey, she took the kids, man.
Hey, man, you're here a lot more lately. Just noticing.
Like, this was basically Barney kind of turning to the camera and just being like, this isn't fun anymore. I'm not laughing. I'm not having a good time. This was funny. I liked the way he fell over when he was drunk. We all had a good laugh. It kind of united the community. But now this is getting kind of weird. He's on a cow.
This man's definitely homeless.
Yeah, Otis is fucking homeless. He just goes to another town, and the first thing he does is get arrested. Almost, intentionally. He says, I'm gonna go start getting arrested in another town so that I can go stay in their jail. Which means that kind of the point of getting drunk at this point is to get arrested to have a place to sleep.
In fact, that's shown when we go to the jail in Raleigh. So Andy and Barney go to the jail in Raleigh to go check on Otis. And it's even very funny. They're like, well, we got to go get him, right? Like, they almost come to the conclusion that they're not real cops and this isn't a real jail. Because they kind of say, like, he won't last in Raleigh. Those are real jails. Like, he's too soft for that. We got to go get him. So they go to Raleigh.
He's a cartoon character. He can't be in the real world.
They go to Raleigh, and Otis is sharing a cell with a man named Frank. I have Frank's. No, I'm sorry. He's sharing. The actor's name is Frank. The actor's name is Frank Cady. He's sharing a cell with a man named Luke. And Luke, played by Frank Cady, is like this old, bald drifter who is talking to Otis about the best and worst jails they've ever drank in and gotten stuck in. This is kind of funny, right? Like, Luke's like, "Oh, don't go down south of Mount Pilot. They got the worst jails there. One of them was next to an auto parts, to a mechanic, and I couldn't sleep at all." So Luke is for sure a homeless hobo.
Yes.
Like, Luke is very clearly there, and I don't know what this show thinks distinguishes Otis from Luke. They seem exactly alike. They're literally in the same cell. So,
yeah.
But for some reason, maybe just because he's from here, Andy and Barney feel like they have some obligation to Otis, and Otis deserves better, but not Luke, even though they're there for the same fucking deal.
Yeah.
But they go there, and Otis kind of snubs them and says, I don't want to go back. No, I'm done. We're not friends. You guys don't care about me. I'm done. Bye.
Yeah.
And kicks him out. The rest of the episode is kind of dedicated to Barney being sad that his friend isn't here anymore.
Yeah.
And they have a little moment where they're like, boy, we sure do miss Otis. He was a belligerent alcoholic, but he was our belligerent alcoholic. I guess we'll never see him again. And they're really sad that their friend is probably dead.
Yeah.
Like, let's be
basically. No,
I think they're
Barney,
slowly coming to the realization that they were the only thing that was keeping Otis from dying in a ditch.
Okay, so there is a dynamic to the one thing you said, which is they beg Otis to come back. Otis tells them to fuck off. Barney is repeatedly saying, like, listen, Otis, I'm sorry. I went too far. I shouldn't have arrested you. Just come back. We're concerned about you. We want to make sure you're safe. Just come back from the jail cell. It'll be like it was before. And Otis is like, nah, man, I don't want to. No. And Andy just goes like, you know what, Otis? You do what you want to do. You come back if you want to come back. You stay here if you want to stay here. I don't give a shit. So it is Andy who basically says, like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Andy
that's true.
is the
I
one
forgot.
that
gotta mention
slices
that.
the cord.
Andy snaps. Andy's like, I don't, fuck it. Fuck you. I didn't want to be
Yeah.
here. I didn't want to be dragged to Raleigh. I didn't want to deal with you in the first place. Fine. Do whatever. So you're right.
Yeah.
That is an important thing to note, is that it is Andy's call to just be like, no, I don't care, man. I'm done.
Yeah.
Again, he's so over this.
He does not care at this point if Otis fucking lives or dies. He does not give a shit.
Which, I mean, if you've ever known an alcoholic, you've definitely gotten that angry at them before.
Yeah.
Like, if you've ever known an alcoholic, you've definitely had that moment where you're like, I don't care. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Get sober or don't.
Yeah.
And then you felt like shit afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, you feel horrible after that.
But they're not even at the point where they're trying to get him to stop drinking. They're just trying to get him to do the exact shit he's doing in a different zip code.
To drink at home.
Yeah.
We prefer you
like,
drink at home. If you're gonna drink, you better do it at home. Like, they're being the cool mom.
Basically, they're doing a whole cool mom thing.
And that's kind of it. They have a little, like, moment where they're both really sad about Otis, and they think they're never going to see him again. And right before any consequences can happen, right before anything, they can come to the realization that, I don't know, we killed our friend. Maybe our friend is killing himself. Ding, 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 ding. There's a cowbell. Otis is here. He's back.
Right.
He's just decided to come home. Nothing is ever allowed to change. You are in purgatory. Nobody will ever improve or get better. This man will just ride a cow in drunkenly down the street for the rest of your life. You are Sisyphus. This is your boulder.
Here is how bare fucking minimum they are, though. Why does he still have the cow?
How does he keep getting the cow?
How is the cow? He is returning the cow to him like fucking Mjolnir, where he is just like summoning the cow. He's blowing into a conch shell.
I mean, he paid money for it. That's his cow.
How did they not immediately go back to the farmer and say, hey, you sold my friend a cow under false pretenses. Give him his money back.
Is he drunk driving? Do they want to give him a DUI?
One sec.
Let's go ahead and Google this.
Can you
ride a horse drunk? Is it illegal?
DUI on a horse.
Yeah.
A person can not be convicted for a Pennsylvania DUI for riding a horse while under the influence, based upon the Supreme Court's decision. What case was this?
I don't know, but I do appreciate that. I mean, I'm on DuckDuckGo, and the results I'm getting are from horserookie.com, nationalequine.org, and something called smarterhorse.com. Hang on a second. I'm going to look real quick on smarterhorse.com. This article is from this year, January 3rd, 2023. It is possible. Oh, wait a second. I've got conflicting info here, buddy. It is possible to get a DUI on a horse in states like Kentucky, California, North Carolina, and potentially Florida. Why potentially Florida? However, most state DUI laws only refer to motor vehicles. Therefore, drunk horse riders may only be charged with disorderly behavior, public drunkenness, and animal endangerment, all of which sound about as bad as a DUI.
Okay.
Looking at North Carolina specifically, the court ruled against a rider in the State versus Dellinger case who was apprehended riding drunk on a public road in 1985 with blood alcohol level that exceeded the state's legal limit. Like other states with DUI laws, all public road users are required to be sober when operating a vehicle or riding a horse. While there have been several attempts to amend North Carolina's DWI laws and remove the definition of horses as vehicles, none of them were successful. So legally, and timeline doesn't work here, so I think Otis is in the clear. As of 1985, horses are legally vehicles in the state of North Carolina.
The most recent precedent in the state of Utah is that a guy was drunk riding a horse and crashed into somebody, but they could not be tried for a DUI because it prohibits the operation of a vehicle while under the influence of alcohol. A vehicle is defined as a device in, upon, or by which a person or property may be transported or drawn upon a highway, except devices moved by human power or used exclusively upon stationary rails or trucks. The operative word there being device. To quote the Supreme Court decision...
Probably state Supreme Court, right? It's got to be the state Supreme Court. Yeah. State
Supreme Court. No dictionary we have examined defines device to encompass an animal. And section 4161 uses the word device in its usual sense. So they went with the dictionary defines a vehicle as, and we're like, well, dictionary. God, the law is so stupid.
In Alabama, a woman attempted to ram a police car by riding a horse. The court decided to dismiss the case against her due to the state's vehicle code, stating that the code does not view the horse as a vehicle or device. The court also decided to dismiss the case because that woman was rad as fuck.
That woman is an American goddamn hero. I mean, terrible idea. Your horse will be liquefied, but...
Fuck the police, Silver!
Yeah.
No way! Okay, so what we've learned here is if you want to get away with doing a DUI on a horse, check your state and local laws for how they define vehicle. I guess none of this really applies to Otis, who was not riding a horse, but a cow.
Marty, I just found a Quora on this subject.
Okay, here we go. Quora, can you be charged with DUI if you are drunk riding a horse? First answer is from Ellie Anderson, whose experience is listed as years of horse ownership, some formal training, and running equine facilities. Yes! Exclamation point. Yes, you can. When I was boarding horses for other people, I actually had a client get a DUI on his horse. He decided after drinking at the bar, unbeknownst to me, that riding his horse home about 15 miles down the freeway was a good idea. It was not a good idea. Oh my god.
Next up. No, I'm doing Peter Holitz. Fuck you.
Okay.
Peter Holitz have a special place in my heart for horses and grew up with a lot of them. I don't think so in Montana. I believe there was a test case where the man got off as his attorney stated he was not in control of the horse, and the horse was willingly taking him home without any input from the man. So because the horse is in itself an animal able to make decisions, you cannot say that the man is driving. Technically, the horse is driving. You're just giving the horse strong recommendations.
Strong logic. I follow that logic. I agree with this.
It's like if I was drunk and you were driving me home, and I kept giving you bad advice. And I was like, "You gotta turn here," and you were like, that's a pond. And I'd be like, you gotta turn here. And then you did that? They couldn't give me a DUI just for giving you bad ideas.
Cars cannot decide to go anywhere. Like, a car will not pull off to the side of the road and start chewing on some grass. A horse definitely will. If a horse is interested in a bug or like a light post or something over there, guess what? You're going over there. So the only cars I know that can do that are Teslas.
Oh God, Victoria McKinney, in the UK under the 1872 Licensing Act, yes, being drunk in charge of a horse is legal. Side note, the roads we drive on are called carriageways for a reason. Just because we use cars these days don't mean horses can't be classed as a vehicle. Fuck you, Victoria.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut up, Victoria.
Shut your British
Fuck
mouth.
you.
Shut your British whore mouth.
Fuck you with your British nonsense. Think you're better than us just because you don't call them roads, you call them carriageways. Also, I know that none of you call them fucking carriageways. I've watched TV. Fuck. In the Netherlands, it is illegal to participate in traffic under the influence of alcohol. This means so they have a good
Netherlands makes it pretty clear. Also, like, it's important in the Netherlands because half of your roads are actually rivers. Like, why are all of our best and longest bits horse related? Why is it that every time a horse gets brought up on this show?
Animal. Okay, Cliff Tierney, a daily hands-on provider of SEO for small to mid-sized businesses, so no horse expertise.
Yeah, I did want to point out that one of our Quora answers, the Netherlands, the Dutchman, his expertise is, I have a 10-year-old diabetic daughter. I'm sad, buddy. That's a bummer, but what does that have to do with horses?
So his answer is, I think it might depend on the state you're in, but I would doubt it. I know here in Georgia, you can get a DUI if you are boating, asleep behind the wheel, or using driving while on drugs. So I feel like he was just like, well, I don't know about horses, but I definitely fell asleep behind the wheel of a boat, and that happened. I just wanted to work that into this. Oh, God. Brooke Newton, you can, happened in Wisconsin, so Brooke definitely got charged with this.
I'm going to keep this... Does Brooke Newton live in Wisconsin?
Okay, so this one doesn't have good answers, but I just sent it to you. It's an alternate phrasing of the question that I really enjoy. How dangerous is it to ride a horse drunk? Will the horse be caring of you?
The horse is...
Shh! I got you, bro! I got you! You sleep... You relax, bud! Don't worry!
Go.
Montana's gonna get you home!
Gonna get you a Gatorade!
Just take me home. We're gonna swing by a Rite Aid to get you some Pedialyte, bud.
I got you.
Don't worry. You've taken care of me, and now it's time for Jean Jacket to take care of you. A guy is like doing the thing where he's at his car with the keys and he's like missing the hole a bunch, and then a horse just shows up and like rips the keys out of his mouth and just throws them away, and then like does like a yay, and it's like all right, horse,
okay,
you're my best friend, get me home drunk.
Thank you, Silverado.
Thank you, Silverado.
Do we want to rate this episode? Hang on, no. We need to talk about the fucking stinger.
Oh,
we need
God,
to talk about the stinger.
So much.
We need to talk about the stinger. Luke returns. The next day, they go, well, it's good to have Otis back, and they send Otis out. And then Luke shows up and says, hey, fellas, I'm turning myself in. I'm drunk.
Yeah.
And they go, who the hell are you? And he says, I'm Luke. Remember, you met me in Raleigh? They go, okay, what do you want? He goes, well...
in Mount Pilot.
Or Mount Pilot, whatever. You met me back there? And they go, yeah, I guess. What do you want, man? He says, well, you lock up drunks, don't you? And they go, kinda, yeah. And then Luke says, "Everybody come on in!" And he invites a whole bunch of homeless alcoholics in and says, like, this is the best jail we've ever seen. Look how comfortable this is. And that they close on. So, remember, not only is it impossible for an alcoholic to get better, but if you show them any kindness, a bunch of other ones will take advantage of you. Remember that.
So, okay.
That's the lesson of this episode of the Andy Griffith Show.
I mean, what Andy Griffith and Barney have basically been doing this entire fucking show is running a really shitty jail, but a really good homeless shelter. So the problem is that the homeless people found out about it. And now they just have more than one guy. And now this is an insurmountable issue because they can't say, "We won't arrest you." They're fucked. They have to take care of all these drunk homeless guys. Like, they can't be like, "I'm sorry, the deal only applies to Otis." Like, all of you have to leave the county to get drunk at gunpoint, probably.
This season really is all of the bullshit, all of the chickens from the past 4 seasons coming home to roost. Like, I'm so glad we got to season 5 because all the shit we've been yelling about Andy doing, it's finally coming down on him. He's finally suffering. I mean, and oh boy, is he suffering.
You know what it is, though? Is like, this is actually kind of their calling. Because they're shitty cops. And they're
this show should be, they should be social workers.
They're actually pretty good social workers. In a way, aside from, letting their longtime friend slowly kill himself.
Right.
They run a pretty good homeless shelter, basically. And it's kind of been their modus operandi forever of like, "Hey, you in some trouble? Come on down. I'm, quote-unquote, arresting you. You're gonna come stay at this building and I'm going to give you a place to sleep and a hot meal. And that'll sort you out, get you in a better headspace, and you'll be better off for it tomorrow." Definitely no other applications of what I'm doing right now. Only a cop could do this, except we can't. Because when somebody asks us to do this on a mass scale, we freak out. Like, basically, their true talent is they're really great at running a homeless shelter.
They're really good at that. They plus Aunt B are natural social workers. This show should be about some guys running a homeless shelter.
Like, the guys that show up, they aren't like, "We're a bunch of drunks that are here to take advantage." They're like, "Hey guys, guess what? Your life's calling has arrived."
Yeah, like, they get really excited. The drunks that show up, they get really excited because they see a pillow and a window and a chair. Like,
yeah,
that's what they're really excited to see.
Yeah.
Their standards are so low. And so now, good thing this is TV logic and we'll never have to deal with this again. But Jesus, man. All right, so ratings. I think this is a good time to debut the new meter that we talked about.
Let's start.
For sure.
Did we decide it was the goober
meter?
It's
the goober meter. It's the goober meter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
do we want to do like a sound effect here for the goober meter? Like what if we did like an air horn, like a blah, 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 goober meter, like something like that?
Maybe. It's probably like a Judy sound effect I could play right here.
Yeah, but do people want to hear that?
No one wants to hear
more
that.
Than they have to. We're going air horn.
Okay. So we're gonna do a goober meter. So you already know about the Barney meter and the Andy meter. Andy meter is how good this episode is, just as a piece of television. Barney meter is how much psychic damage it did to America. And we have a new meter. Dan, would you like to explain the goober meter?
So the goober meter is on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being how close to a nervous breakdown we think Andy is. How close he is to just opening fire, lighting himself on fire with gasoline. How fucking done he is. So, like, the 10 on the goober meter is game over screen. It is over. Andy has killed somebody or just walked off into the woods. Like, it's over. 1 being he's doing great.
All right. I'm on this one. I'm gonna say, like, this is a 6. I want to hedge my bets on this. This is a 6. He gets mad. He starts off the episode already tired of Barney's shit. So he gets like vocally like visibly mad at Otis in a way he never had before. But I'm gonna temper my expectations on this and call it a 6 on the goober meter.
Yeah, that feels right. Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm gonna temper it a little bit more because I feel like okay. For point of reference, last episode where he pulled a gun on a guy.
Right.
What do we say that is on the goober?
That's
meter? Let's make that our north on the compass.
Okay, we'll make that a start. That's a 9. And the only reason
Yes.
it's not a 10 is that he didn't fire.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so that's a 9. So compared to that, we're going to say that I'm going to say this is a 5. I say he basically says that he's okay if Otis lives or dies, but he doesn't get at all close to a point of physical violence. So I'm going to say a 5. And the fucking logic of this scale is going to evolve as we get more data points to go off of. Okay, so that's the goober meter. What's the Andy meter?
How good is this episode? That's also a 6. Maybe a 7. The guy that plays Luke is pretty funny.
I think it's pretty funny all the way through. Like, as tragic and horrible as it is, Otis on a cow and they bust it out 3 times. They do a rule of 3s. I'm gonna put it at like a 7, maybe an 8. Let's say 7.
All right,
just to be
I
safe.
wasn't that amused by it, but I get it. And then Barney meter, motherfucker.
I mean, okay,
8.
explicit lesson, very like big font. If you have somebody who is drinking to the point of like near death, mind your business.
You keep it to your fucking
like,
self.
If you try to intervene, it will just make them mad and it'll just cause problems. So just stay out of it. Let them do what they're gonna do. Just support them and make like kind of work your life around them drinking a lot. Like kind of make sure that they're able to do that with as little punishment as possible. So basically just like the message of this is the worst thing to do if you know an alcoholic. Yeah. So, and this was again during at this point I think late 60s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I say earlier?
So,
this is 1967.
Yeah,
65.
definitely.
Sorry, we're in the mid 60s.
Definitely not a period known for great things about alcoholism. I would say one of the worst times. After people stopped drinking grain alcohol. Yeah, like I'd say pretty much the worst message to have at the worst fucking time. So I'm gonna put it 9. I'm gonna say this is a 9. It's not particularly like outrageous. It's just like more deeply sad. Like, yeah, it's bad. It's a 9. So, yes.
It's pretty damn ugly, like this whole thing. I would say, let's see. Do I want to put this at an 8 or a 9? I think I want to put this I want to put this at a 9 too, simply because it's just like the other lesson here is don't treat these people well. They won't get better, and if you give one of them nice things, they're all gonna want nice things. So yeah, this is a 9. This is a dark, fucking depressing, ugly episode. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
yet Hal Smith sells it.
Unpleasant watch.
It was a tough watch.
God damn it, Hal Smith is a fucking genius.
It
really is.
This was a tough watch. All right, that's it for us on this episode. As always, you can't get us on us anywhere. I have a Blue Sky account, but I'm not using it. Just tell your friends about the show. Like, just tell your friends. Post ratings and reviews. Email us at breakingmayberry@gmail.com. Patreon.com/breakingmayberry. That is where you can get all of our bonus episodes and extended episodes and extended cuts and more horse jokes that didn't make it into this episode. I'm making that guarantee.
Are you kidding me that we're taking out a single horse joke? You're out of your goddamn mind if you think I'm letting you take out a millisecond of the horse part.
I think some of that stuff has to be premium content, my dude.
No, fuck you. Every second of Horse stays in main feed. We'll talk about what is Patreon episode, but no, absolutely not.
Okay, all right.
My dead body. I am chaining myself to the horse portion of this episode.
You're really
like a
not
hippie to a tree.
You're really not getting the whole Patreon thing.
We're doing bonus episodes and shit. It rules.
We have to give some. We have to refrain some content. We have to hold some stuff back. All right. Whatever. Patreon.com/Breaking Mayberry. Support us with your many dollars. Music you heard before and after was written by Max Ludwig, who is, I don't know, sometimes on Twitch as at Sleep Talkie. I don't know if he still does it or not. We are gonna be off for a little bit, getting Dan hitched. We'll be back in October with all new episodes of Suffering. Until then, we'll see you all down at the fishing hole.